we come to our last paper for today, and we turn to one of the earliest witnesses of New Persian, an early Judeo-Persian letter from Dendon Ouilik, and it is a re-examination of this early letter by Nima Asefi and Ibrahim Shafii. Yes. Please.
Thank you. Hello and salam to everyone and to all the participants. At first, I would like to thank the organizers of this webinar, Mr. Amin Shayeste and Professors Jafari and also Professor Charity for this webinar. And the title of our presentation is Re-examination of an early Judeo-Persian letter, Dendon Ouilik II. This presentation is a part of a detailed work on Dendon Ouilik II with my colleague Nima Asefi, PhD student of Asian Iranian Language and Culture at Institute of Humanities and Cultural Studies in Tehran, Iran, and I, ابراهیم شفیعی, PhD student of Asian Iranian Languages and Culture at University of Tehran. The first part of this presentation will be present by me, and the second part will be present by my colleague and friend Nima Asefi. We would like to express our sorrow and condolences to all people who lost their relatives by the pandemic COVID-19 and wish all the kids to rest in peace forever. Amen. And from Dendon Ouilik II, sorry. And from Dendon Ouilik II, which says, Ishma patani khesh, durust و نیک ما از دور سخت شاد باشیم و سپاسداری کنیم اپیش ایزد خدا. You are healthy and well in your body. We are very happy and thankful to Divine God. Preface. Dendon Ouilik, and as an abbreviation form, DU, is a historical oasis in Taklamakan Desert in northwestern China, where historical artifacts have been found in the past line with writing in various languages. In 1896, on passing through this oasis, the Swedish excavator Sven Anders Hedin reported about historical being of Dendon Ouilik for the first. However, the first extensive excavations in this area were carried out by the ancient Hungarian English archaeologist and explorer Sir Mark Orelstein from 1900 to 1901, which yielded many findings. Most probably, the oasis was known to Judeo-Persian community as Dendon Ouilik II, based upon line 32 of Dendon Ouilik I, where Dan remained on the manuscript, and scholars consider it as the initial words of the Dendon Ouilik. Although this oasis is known as a Buddhistic settlement, for instance, Ekotani's translation of the Sanskrit Prajna Paramita belongs to Mahayana Buddhism found there. Other faiths and religions like Jewish community will live there too, and one of the most outstanding findings from Jewish community in Karakum Desert Giji district is an inscription written in Hebrew alongside with Brahmic inscriptions as well as Sogdian. In the cave 17 of the Mugao caves, known as the 1000 Buddhas caves in Dunhuang, a papyrus containing a saliha have been found. Such evidences tell us about Jewish settlement from ancient times in this district. And in this map, in the core, you can see Dendon Oilig in the Oasis. And the languages was which was used in this Oasis. Judaism in China. Scholars divided the Jewish presence in China into two periods. First, before 1840 after Dominia, and the second after 1840 after Dominia. Although the beginning of the Jewish presence in China is not so clear, the first evidence of this presence should be considered the letter of Dendon Oilig the first, which found in Khotan during the reign of Tang dynasty from 618 to 907 after Dominia. And through such evidences, it's possible to think that Judaism was taken to China by Iranian Jews or Persian-speaking Jews. One of the most known Chinese Jewish communities are the Jewish community of Kaifan in the Henan province in the east of China. Although their origins are still unclear and the evidence for conclusion is insufficient, there are many indications of the influence of Iranian traditions and the Persian language on them. One of the oldest indications is the use of Wusida from Middle Persian Avestad, derived from the Persian word for master, probably means Rabbi or Mullah. In the first version of the stone monument of the Kaifan synagogue from 1489 after Dominia, and stood as an equivalent for Chinese Zhangjiao in the second version from 1663 after Dominia. Other evidences include the existence of some copies of Jewish holy books with Persian words or the writing tradition of the Iranian Jewish community. In their Siddur, a Jewish prayer book, the mention featured in holding rituals shows the Iranian tradition. In continuation of such evidences, we can refer to the instructions for reading Haggadah during the Passover ritual, which in the two copies found in Kaifan, and these instructions are in Judo-Persian and show the organizers of the ceremony knew Persian. Two Judo-Persian letters of Dendon Oilig testify the Iranian Jewish presence in the district. The Judo-Persian letter of Dendon Oilig, the second, found 2004 in China and studied and published by two Chinese scholars, Zhang Zhan and Guangxi. This letter is written on 40 centimeter long and 28 centimeter white paper in 38 lines with inkwell. The reference to the defeat of the Tibetans by the Uyghurs in the letter and its comparison with some Khotanese letters that report on this conflict indicates that this letter might have been written at least after 802 after Dominia. The linguistic features of this letter indicate that it should be considered one of the earliest Judo-Persian texts. Research background. Unlike Dendon Oilig the first, which has been the subject of much scientific work since its discovery in 1901 by Sir Mark Aurel Stein, Dendon Oilig II has only been studied specifically by Zhang Zhan and Guangxi, and first has been published in Chinese in 2009. This is the most detailed work on Dendon Oilig II and contains historical background, linguistic descriptions, spelling, transliteration, notes, and references. After this work, the attention to Dendon Oilig II increased, and some scholars wrote about this letter and some of its topics. None of the following articles was written independently on Dendon Oilig II, but in addition to other research, some parts of Dendon Oilig II have also been studied. For example, Ludwig Paul, in his valuable work entitled A Grammar of Early Judo-Persian, published in 2013, reviewed and translated many parts of this letter. In 2016, in a book section, Zhang Zhang published the first English translation of the Dendان اویلیق II without further information. A year later, in 2017, Yutaka Yoshida, in an article reviewing some of the words of Dendان اویلیق I, made new suggestions about Dendان اویلیق II, quoting the same Chinese translation of Zhang Zhang and Guangxi in his Japanese work. In the present article, but not in this presentation, or at least some of part of our article, there are many differences with what was previously translated into English, Chinese, and other languages due to the differences in our syntactic and grammatical understanding of the text. Now I will give you some examples, very brief, to show how we work on the Dendان اویلیق II. Izad Khodai, as repeated in line 1, 5, and 8. David Samuel Margolius, those clarifies from Wilhelm Bacher, Dendán اویلیق I has few Hebrew words between two Jewish souls, and it might be the writer was a non-fanatic Jewish or a non-Jewish who, due to some reasons, applied the Hebrew script to write such a letter. Dendán اویلیق II has few Hebrew words too, and it seems this feature belongs to Judo-Persian dialect in Khotan and doesn't relate it to being Jewish or non-Jewish. Nevertheless, David Samuel Margolius pointed that Izad Khodai is corresponding to Adonai Elohim in the Hebrew Bible. And Walter Bruno Henning proposed that Aleph Yod in Izad Khodai Yor Boshad, line 1st of Dendán اویلیق I, is short form for Adonai Yahweh in the Hebrew Bible. It's noteworthy that Yutaka Yoshida reread a Sogdian letter already read by Bibo and Nicholas Sims Williams and amended Pagizim by Parvaginam in the name of God, and pointed out that the letters written in Sogdiana and Khotan starts with the aforesaid phrase, and Pannam Izid Khuda at the beginning of Dendán اویلیق I and II represents the Jewish or Islamic thought influence. I should add that Adonai's name appeared as Yod Yod in the Judo-Persian commentary on Ezekiel, as Yod Vav Yod in the Judo-Persian commentary on Genesis, and Yod Aleph Yod in the Judo-Persian commentary on Jeremiah. The second word that I will talk about is Patku, in line 34 of Dendán اویلیق II. A rare and common word between Dendán اویلیق I and Dendán اویلیق II, which brought us based on Henrik Samuel Nieberg's proposal, considered it from Aramaic pitqa, which means jar, and probably related to Greek pitachion, as well as Old Turkish bitke or bitku, and transcribed as pitku. The discoveries of Chinese, Sogdian, and Khotanese texts shed a new light on the word, where Sogdian patkuk, used as an equivalent of the Chinese guan as a currency, which costs and means a string of 1,000 coins, and has a translated equivalent as Isari Hamba by the amount of 1,000 or a string of 1,000 coins in Khotanese texts. Bibo and Nicholas Sims Williams clarified that the Sogdian patkuk and Chinese guan are synonyms too. The Chinese word derives from chuang, to pierce, thread, string together, and The Sogdian word derives from patkoch, to thread, to pierce, to angel the fish, from Old Iranian pati couch, are related to each other. In the Chinese numismatic tradition, as well as other districts in Southeastern Asia, some kind of the coins are pierced, and for easier transferring, the pierced coins join with a thread or wooden branch crossing the middle. The next example is shalama in line 1. An Aramaic word means welfare, health, hail, which used as a heterogram in some Iranian texts. It used in Middle Persian as shin, resh, mem for drod, health, well-being, prosperity, peace. And Nicholas Sims Williams, in the examination of the Sogdian letters, considered shin, lam, mem as a heterogram for Sogdian of Rivan, which this word doesn't include in a Sogdian dictionary of Professor Garib. Though it is possible to compare Judo-Persian Sad Hezar Shalama with Sad Barevar of Rivan in the beginning of the mentioned Sogdian letter, which is corresponding to Bactrian Sad Hazar Varevar Lerod Sepadang. Since there is no heterogram usage in Judo-Persian, the Judo-Persian Shalama should be considered as an Aramaic loan word, Shalama, which reflects the meaning of Drod. A Judo-Persian letter from Ghazne to Bamiyan has Shalama in Perso-Arabic font, as well as Shalama in its Hebrew context as its equivalent, and used shortened for 1000 in Aramaic. In other words, al instead of aleph with aleph and lam in Perso-Arabic. In one document from Geniza of Kabul, a letter from Moses ben Ishaq the Jewish to Abu Nasr Ahmad ben Daniel, written in 10 to 12 after Dominia, start with Aleph Aleph Shalama, which means Tauven Shalama. From now onward, the rest of our presentation will present by my colleague and friend, Mr. Nima Asefi. Thank you.